Tonight. Welcome so much to the Union Pacific Railroad Evanston subdivision in HO scale. My name is Daryl Cruz, your host for the evening. Another live stream. This is 4 in a row and the 4th out of 5 total. And I just want to share what we took care of today. Not really a lot to show you from just looking at the layout. Looks pretty much the same as yesterday, but a lot was accomplished. Most of the work was wiring, and wiring that took place under the layout. And this is important that we have this wiring done so that all the tracks have the proper amount of conductivity. You have to be careful. You might end up having the resistance getting to the point where it makes the layout unsafe. So just to give you an idea, I basically did 2 things. I extended power and soldered feeder wires on both this little section here, where here's the golden spike area. But for this block right here, which starts right at the signals and goes westbound, I had were the ones that you can see soldered right here. So those feeder wires basically fed all the way, all the tracks through here, and the electricity was just simply conducted by the rail joiners. And what happens is, as you get further down the line, the resistance gets greater and greater and greater to the point where you have some safety issues here, and that if there's a short, you may have it not flipping the circuit breaker and creating some heat. So what I did today is, under the layout, I ran some wires for the, so here, let's see. So here's where it was soldered in, and then the 2 wires for the 2 tracks coming this way, and there's also a wire for the common. So these 2 here, right? So these 2 wires here are for the two tracks, and then this is the common for both. So it takes 3 wires. Basically ran it along underneath the layout, and then I had different areas where I soldered. See if I can. So I soldered them here. So another feeder here. And then I did another set of feeders here. And then finally I did another set of feeders right there. And I don't do every rail like some people. What I try and do is make sure that there's no more than 1 rail joiner of conductivity. So it's soldered here. And then there is a rail joiner right here. So that's 1. And then there's another rail joiner right here, but then that's connected to this here. And then going this way, see, here's a rail joiner here. So this one does not have anything connected to it. And then there is a connection here. So it's kind of like every other or every third track. So I basically, you can see the wires underneath here, did all the tracks up to here, and then I ran another set of wires. This one I went below, down here, all along, and came up right here, and that's for the control point. So this is 2 more detection sections for the 2 tracks of the control point. All right, so I did all that, and then I did the same thing for here. I ran some wires under here. I used 12 gauge wire here because this is a really, really long run. And feeder wires. And I ran out of wire here, so I still have to do, it's here no more wires here. So it's basically from this feeder point here, the electricity is carried all the way over to here without any additional feeders. I did have two soldered here, but they're not connected to anything. Now, to give you an idea how this all works, let's see if you can hear this. Let me turn the sound off here. Sorry about this. All right, there. All right, I got all the sound off, so hopefully you can hear this. And you may have heard about the quarter test. That's to test if you have enough current running and enough conductivity mainline. So this one here, now you have to listen closely. You'll hear it shorting out. So it's kind of going off and on. Every time it goes off, that's the breaker being out. And the longer it sits on there, the longer the time between the breakers. I hope you can hear that. So that's safe. This quarter's not going to get hot. Now let's go over here where we don't have a feeder. I will put one here eventually, but now that's just a constant buzz because there's so much resistance on just the rails and the track, the rail joiners, that it's not enough to flip the breakers. And basically what's happening is it just constantly shorts it out. And that can be a fire hazard because I'm going to take it off. But the quarter is already warm. And I left it on there today for about 3 minutes, and it got hot to the touch to where I couldn't hold it. So you definitely have to make sure that you have, the feeders all along with the track bus wires underneath so that you have good conductivity throughout all the track. And sometimes you have to make sure you use high or low gauge, very thick wires. Now this one here, as you showed you the yellow, there is 12 gauge. All right, here's why I use 12 wire, even though it's only 14 volts. The power for that track starts off right here at the command station. And then the power from here goes through the yellow wire right there and comes all the way. Again, this is 12. Here, I actually use some 14 gauge, but it comes all the way. We're under the layout now. It comes all the way here to this power management board here. This is the new PM74. And then that PM74 sends power the rails via this BDL16, which means the power can be split up into 16 detection tracks. And it's set up to where 8 of the 16 are on one power district, the other 8 are on a second power district. All right, so here's where the track power then gets split into the 16 parts. And then for that track we were just testing, all right, the power goes through wires here and has to run from here away that's under this part of the track here, or a part of the benchwork here, all over there into the other room. And it comes through here and then powers all this. So that's a very long run. So you have to make sure you have feeders all the way along and that you use some low gauge wire so that you can make sure that when you have a short, it's enough amps to flip the circuit breaker and keep things safe. That's why I didn't, even though I'm very close to having the last bit of track laid, I didn't do that because I wanted to make sure I got all these track buses and track feeders put in before I start running trains nonstop around the layout. Now here's another power manager. The power station there. Okay, again, we have let's see, here's the 12 gauge wire that comes here. I painted it white with ceiling. And then that comes down. And it actually powers this. Is a B14. So it powers that. And then that's split up into 4 power districts. 2 go to this BDL of 16, which splits it into 2 sets of 8. And then 2 go to the L16, which again is 2 sets of 8. And then those wires go to the actual tracks. All right, enough about electrical. Hopefully that made some sense. I haven't really been watching the comments yet, but let's see if there's any questions. So basically what I have left to do yet, and I'm going to try and, while I'm talking, watch for questions and stuff. What I'm going to try and do tomorrow is these turnouts powered, and they don't have any mounted yet. So I want to get that mounted, get them powered, and then put up signals here. So this control point is done. And then actually the track work is, I got basically 6 pieces of track to put in. That should not take very long at all. I could probably do that under an hour. And here we have the maintenance away crew ready to go. So for the Golden Spike ceremony, I have some figures too. I have some people here also. And that'll clock. So if you're a member, make sure you check that out. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock, a live stream for the Golden Spike, the complete line. If you're not a member, you will be able to watch it after the fact. Once it's processed and everything, I'll make it available to everybody. All right, that's pretty much all I have to share with everyone. Unless there's some questions, we'll run some trains here real quick. I'm going here. Yeah, here we go. I will have train symbols like the prototype, like a M, PRLA, O. They use like O for oil trains, M for manifest, and then where they started and ended up with. I have to do some research to see what actually goes through there. And let's crank her up. Since I've been doing all these live streams this week, I will not have an update this weekend. But then sometime next week, I am going to definitely have a. Stop. That's bad switches here. Hold on. You notice I have the turnout thrown against the engine there. See if I can get this figured out. It's 7, 8, 9. All right, sometimes you have to move it off here. I'm going to stop it here. All right, see if I can turn this turnout now. All right, I think we're good. Finally. That was operator here. Oops. All right, now we're ready. I could, in theory, run all the trains at once, all the throttles, and I wasn't supposed to cross over like that. If I had all the throttles, I have 12 and 12 staging tracks. We could run all 12. If I had 12 throttles and a good dispatcher to keep them from running into each other. The main line is, including the helix, is 600 feet. If you don't include the helix, it's like 510, something like that. Oops. I'm not sure what speed step it is, but it's at 15%. So let's see. There you go. 15. I'm not sure. So that's 15%. I'm not sure what speed step that is. Probably like 20 or so. I have it set up so that whatever percent shows up on my throttle is how many scale miles per hour it's going. So now I have it on 20, and it's going about 20. Whoop. Something hit a nail. Here's what happened. So when I was working on this today, I was working on here, I must have lifted up this here and ran into that nail. All right, let's try it again. That was an abrupt stop. Oh, there's another one. Must have got all these. Any others? All right. I have the track just kind of temporarily tacked down. Once I get to ballasting, then I'll have it down more permanently. The curves, minimum curve is like 45 inches. And the biggest curves, the ones like right here, that's like in the 60s. Right there, that's a good curve. That's going to be the Taggart Mountains. The ones up here, the upper left, 49 and 50 inches. Definitely was going for some broad curves. All right, see if we can get past this train. We're going to cross over in front of this one. All right, so tomorrow's a big day. I'm looking forward to tomorrow and having it done, but you know what I'm really looking forward to is Saturday. I'm just going to go down here and just run trains around the layout and just stand back and watch in awe of what I created over the last 420 years. I hope another switch is switched wrong. There we go. That was this one here. I think I did that when I was messing with the curtain. There's a lot of operator errors today. Guess I can turn the bell off. There we go. All right, so tomorrow's a big day. If you're a member, make sure you tune in at 8 o'clock. If you're not a member, maybe want to check it out around 9 o'clock or a little bit after. You'll be able to watch it at that time. Thanks so much for being a part of this and watching and supporting the channel. See you in just a little bit. Everybody take care. Have a great day.